Our next reader is going to be Amanda Washington. Amanda Winkler Washington comes from a strong background in finance and insurance. She first put her dreams to paper in 1999. When she's not writing or working, you can find her saving the world with a game controller in her hand and her husband and their 5 boys by her side. Come on up.
Can you guys hear me? All right. So the premise for Rescuing Liberty came from a series of bad dreams. It's dystopian, so basically the world has changed as we know it, and not for the better. And so I'm just going to read really the back of it because it kind of describes what the story is about. And then I have 2 sections. The book is written from 2 perspectives. Liberty is the main character, and her chapters are in first-person perspective, and then Connor Dunstan is the second character, and his are written from third person. But you kind of get a feel for what's going on in his head, and it was a fun way to write it. But 6 months ago, Liberty Collins was dreaming. Let me start all over. 6 months ago, Liberty Collins was advancing her career at a prosperous marketing firm and dreaming of a bright future. Now the only thing darker than her nightmares is reality. In a socially and economically collapsed America, Liberty struggles to find the courage to endure and the strength to protect herself. Her faith, constitution, and sanity are challenged as the lines that separate right from wrong grow increasingly blurry. Connor Dunstan was a thriving personal injury attorney with a comfortable life and a deeply buried past. As the country crumbles and provisions dissipate, the survival of Connor and his unforgiving niece Ashley rests on his ability to trust someone other than himself. Formed for the sake of the child, this precarious alliance struggles to find light in a dark world and hope where none exists. If they fail, more than their freedom will be lost. So first I'm going to read just a couple pages from Liberty's perspective. It's about halfway through the book, what I'm reading. It's from chapter 11, and it's kind of her reflection on what happened when the economy fell and what she saw. It gives an idea of her character. I stared into the empty ice cream container, willing it to refill itself. I didn't remember eating the whole half-gallon last night, but the details preceding my sugar-induced coma were still a bit sketchy. Eyeing my furry roommate, the only other possible suspect, I asked, "Did you eat my ice cream, Kiana?" My dog rolled over and waited for me to scratch her belly, in a surefire admission of guilt. Uh-huh. I scratched her with the toe of my slipper. Someone's getting chunky. My own bulging belly caught my eye. I've been out of work for months, and last night's ice cream overindulgence was only the latest of my depression-related binges. If I didn't find a job soon, I'd need a forklift to get me off the sofa. That's it, fatty. Tomorrow, we're going on a diet. Understandably uncertain as to which of us I was referring, Kiana closed her eyes and ignored the insult. Wrapped in my fuzzy blue bathrobe and slippers, with my curls sticking out in every direction and serious dragon breath, I struggled to understand why no man had scooped me up yet. As I glanced in the mirror hanging above my couch, I noticed that my excessive junk food consumption was also causing a massive pimple invasion. Depression is not my color. I sunk into my favorite spot on the couch, ripped open the ice cream container, and started licking it clean. Ugh, what am I doing? Kiana raised her head and stared at me. Okay, that's it. We start the diet today. I could have sworn she rolled her eyes before she went back to playing dead. The container was tossed into the garbage in an effort to derail the temptation train. I slid back into the couch and waited for the coffee pot to finish brewing. A tap of the remote control snapped my 36-inch television to life. Sexual harassment, automobile accidents, wrongful death cases. If you've been wronged, we can help. I groaned at the image of Connor Dunstan promoting his law firm. That guy is slimy with a capital S, I told Kiana and changed the channel. Since the cable had been turned off, my options were limited to daily news on NBS, Sunrise with CBS, or Sesame Street on PBB. I had about all the disheartening reality I could handle, so I decided to spend my morning with the Muppets in their imaginary world. The Count was just about to help Oscar the Grouch tally piles of trash when a special bulletin interrupted my morning entertainment. I flipped through the channels to avoid it, but the report monopolized all 3 stations. Options removed, I decided to see what all the fuss was about. "And what did you say brought this on?" The female reporter stared into the screen, looking concerned. The camera switched to a man, who the bottom of the screen labeled as Neil Hovich, live in Washington, D.C. Background noises of crying, screaming, and confusion drowned out the man's voice. He wrapped his hands around the mouthpiece, trying to muffle the surrounding chaos, and started speaking again. But my eyes and ears had deemed him unimportant. All I could see was the grisly scene behind him, and all I could hear was terror. Riot police and soldiers used firearms and tear gas in an attempt to control the situation. Americans killed Americans in a gas and smoke-clouded scene in front of the vague outline of the Capitol building. More meaningless words came over my speaker, and then the screen switched to live footage in Los Angeles, New York, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Denver, and Atlanta. Death everywhere. Riots, fires, weapons, smoke, bodies. I stared, unblinking. It had to be a mistake. This couldn't be real. Not my people. No, not my country. My television went black. The coffee machine stopped, and my kitchen light flickered off. The horrifying sounds that had been coming from my television were now live in Vancouver, Washington. The nightmare was real, and it was just outside my door. So that was Liberty, and in that piece she mentions an attorney, Connor Dunstan, who is actually ex-Special Forces, who is my other main character. And so I just am going to read just a little bit from his point of view, just so you can see his character. Wow, 62 days silent treatment. That's got to qualify her for some sort of record. Connor stared down at his brother's 12-year-old daughter, Ashley, as she rested on her air mattress facing the wall. He let out a breath of irritation. "I won't be gone long." Ashley ignored him, just like she had for the past 2 months. Connor grabbed his Glock and switchblade from the top of a nearby shelving unit in the shelter. The shelter was actually a large walk-in safe inside Connor's brother's store, built and stocked to sustain 4 lives. The death of Jacob and Kathy had turned the safe's environment into that of a Cold War. Every day, Connor looked forward to this escape. His blade went into the front pocket of his jeans, and he slid the gun into a hidden pouch inside his jacket. Stepping up to the door, he spun the dial, threw its code, and pushed it open. Then he stepped into his brother's computer parts store and locked Ashley in the safe behind him. Jacob had loved the store. He'd always been a geek, fascinated by taking apart and rebuilding computers. Connor closed his eyes and remembered his brother's wide smile on the day he signed the papers that made the store his own. He had stood behind the counter, jingling the keys and grinning like a loon. Connor had looked around Jacob's new purchase, apprehensively noting the fading paint and the disorganized shelves. "I know it needs some work." Jacob tapped on the cracked countertop in front of him. "But it's my store, my dream." It didn't need work. It needed a bulldozer and a business plan. It looked like a time and money pit to Connor, but he didn't have the heart to voice his skepticism. Instead, he replied, "If it makes you happy." More happiness than you can even imagine. Jacob picked up the rag before him and polished the well-used cash register. "What's that supposed to mean? I'm happy." Connor strode forward until he was just across the counter from his brother. "I'm on a streak. Won my 10th case this week. And this morning, I stumbled on a juicy tidbit that's sure to discredit the witness in the McPherson trial." Jacob narrowed his eyes. "You'll never be truly happy until you stop trying to be someone else." Connor chuckled and held out his hands. "Hey bro, what you see is what you get. You're not fooling me. I know what lies beneath that overly ambitious womanizing shell." "Oh really?" Connor leaned against the counter and showed Jacob his teeth. "Enlighten me." Jacob moved to wipe down the counter. "Nope, that's cheating. You cannot be rebuilt until you are destroyed." Connor bowed mockingly. "As always, Master Yoda, you are both wise and cryptic." "You cannot be rebuilt until you are destroyed." The memory stole Connor's breath and resolve. He looked around Jacob's thrashed store, longing for the wisdom of his big brother. All he found was destruction. Glass from the busted windows crunched beneath his shoes. Multiple shelves lay on their sides, spilling broken or unusable merchandise upon the floor. Spray-painted walls reflected the anger of the vandals. destroyed like your dream, Jake. Well, how are you gonna rebuild it now? So this has been an incredible journey for me. I've written Rescuing Liberty, and then it has a sequel, Liberty's Hope, and I'm actually working on the third book in the series right now. And then I also have a teen series called The Chronicles of the Broken, and I have some of the first one, which is called Fallen, with me. But the books are there's a discount if you buy one, it's 10. If you buy two, it's 15. But it's been quite the journey for me because I knew nothing about writing when I started, and I have been blessed with just a ton of editors and writers and amazing people that have helped me. And in fact, I even now have a special forces person, a medic actually, with special forces that helps me and edits for me and lets me know the correct lingo and whether or not somebody would hold their gun a certain way or, make patrols around a camp, which is apparently a big no-no. And so it's been a great learning experience, and I'll be here, if you want signatures or whatever, I'm here.